Witamy ponownie po krótkiej przerwie w kujawsko-pomorskiej e-Szkole. Z nami ponownie pan Maciej Doksa, który dalej poprowadzi cykl lekcji języka angielskiego w dniu dzisiejszym. Witam ponownie.
Dzień dobry.
A jako, że to będzie nasza już ostatnia lekcja w tym roku szkolnym, to czym się zajmiemy na tej lekcji?
No, jeżeli to jest ostatnia lekcja w roku szkolnym, to wypadałoby gdzieś jechać na wakacje. Najlepiej do Londynu.
Zapraszamy.
Good afternoon. Welcome after this short break. This is the second lesson today. This time we are going to visit Great Britain and especially London, the capital of the United Kingdom. London is a famous city, of course, full of sights, full of landmarks, places to visit, places to be, because the UK for a long time was a part of the European Union. It was extremely easy to reach, especially London by plane, not even 2 hours and you're there. So probably a lot of you have been able to visit this city, but I believe there are still a lot of us who have never been to London. So today we are going to talk and to see the most interesting, in my opinion, of course, it's a selective opinion, subjective opinion, places in London, places to see. All right, the first landmark is the Big Ben and the clock tower, or I should rather say the clock tower with the Big Ben. Wherever people take a look at this picture, they always say Big Ben, but you have to make a distinction. The building, which is a tower, is actually called the clock tower, and Big Ben is the name of the clock which is housed in this tower. So this, what you can see in the picture, is actually the clock tower with the Big Ben. This tower is a part of the complex of the Houses of Parliament in London. It stands by the Thames River, so you can admire the building from a close-up, but also you can admire it from across the Thames River, which makes a really amazing and scenic view. Again, as most of the landmarks in New York, especially this one, it has also been part of a lot of movies, a lot of action, especially action movies, taking part in the clock tower in the Big Ben. All right, now this picture shows you the Houses of Parliament, and if you take a closer look, on the right you will see the clock tower with the Big Ben. So I didn't lie to you, this is part of the Houses of Parliament complex. This is situated by the Thames River. You get a great view from the other, bank of the river. So, of course, this complex, as the very name suggests, houses the British Parliament, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. So this is the place where the most important decisions for British politics are taken. Well, not only politics. All right, now the next site, I have to admit, is really amazing because this is not really a very, I would say, architecturally beautiful place. Piccadilly Circus is a square which, well, actually is not of a square shape, it is round, that's why the name circus. And this is actually a place which is probably the most famous for two things. First of them, you can see in the foreground of this picture, is the statue of Eros. you see it is a very popular meeting point for tourists, for young people who sit on the stairs of this statue. I believe it's a fountain, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not. I have to admit I'm not sure. And around this statue, around this little square, there is actually a roundabout, and there are exits to a few streets. Another thing that Piccadilly Circus is famous for are the commercials. In the background here, you probably see the two most famous, not commercials, advertisements, billboards of two Japanese companies, TDK and Sanyo. So I'm not sure if they are still there, but they were there for years. They have actually become the symbol of Piccadilly Circus, which is amazing because you will not really find many, if any, places in the world where advertising has become a part of landmark. So Piccadilly Circus, yes, it's quite an amazing, it's not, like very impressive place, but it is special. I would say it is unique. And it's a good meeting point. There is an underground station, Piccadilly Circus, right in this square, so you can reach the place quite easily by tube, by the underground train, and just be there, spend time there, maybe meet other tourists from other countries. The Thames. As many great cities, also the city of London is situated on a river. The river is called the Thames. You have to be careful about the pronunciation because it's not th. I mean, it's not pronounced like Thames or Thames or something like this. In this case, it's just Thames. Yes, Thames River. So it goes through London. It is a winding river, so it doesn't go in straight line. It kind of meanders through London, and because of this, London has some famous bridges, which we are going to see. Also, the river is the connection of London to the sea, because it actually runs and enters I guess it's the North Sea or the English Channel. And as I said, there are a lot of famous bridges spanning the river, but also the river provides an excellent opportunity to have a great view from one bank to the other, like the view of the Houses of Parliament. So this river is also quite important for London. And as I said, the Thames River is, the two banks of the river are spanned by many bridges. This is probably the most famous of them, the Tower Bridge, which is actually situated very close to the Tower of London, or another famous historical site. And as you probably know, this is a drawbridge, so the two central sections of the bridge, they can actually go up and let the ships go under it. This bridge has featured in countless movies because it's a very nice, background for action movies, also some romantic movies. I believe, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain that some of the James Bond movies also used this landmark. So this is definitely an icon of London, the Tower Bridge. The next place worth visiting is the British Museum. The British Museum houses the collection of art not only from Great Britain, but also from the British Empire. You probably know that Great Britain for many years was an empire, a colonial empire. They had colonies in many, many countries. And Also, this museum houses some exhibits, some artifacts from the British colonies. So this is a great place to see a lot of historical exhibits from the times of the British Empire, but also, you know, the artifacts from Britain itself. Another iconic place is the Buckingham Palace. This is, of course, the house of the Queen, of the royal family. This is the place where the royal guards, the famous beefeaters, have their changing of the guard ceremony, various parades. So this is the place which is, you know, probably most crowded, packed with tourists. Of course, I think it is, some part of the palace is probably open to the public, but people mostly, you know, just view the Buckingham Palace from behind a fence which is in front of it. So yeah, it's the house of the Queen, so it's as British as it can get. If you have watched the TV series The Crown, sorry, about the royal family, about the Queen, the British Queen, you probably know that this palace has actually been entered, I don't know, once or twice, once for sure, by an intruder who got not only to the building itself, but also to the royal quarters. I mean, the bedroom of the Queen. So, although it is very closely guarded by the beefeaters and by the security officers, still some people managed to penetrate the palace. All right, the next site is a modern site. It is called London Eye. What is it? Well, actually, you could say it's a giant Ferris wheel. What's a Ferris wheel? Ferris wheel is just what you can see in the Polish language. We call it diabelski młyn, I believe. So this is a huge merry-go-round, czyli karuzela, carousel kind of merry-go-round. It has some cabins in the form of capsules, and you know, it will take you high up, and from this high altitude you can admire the sights of London, the various places in London. You can also get the nighttime view of London because it also operates at night. So it stands by the Thames River, almost across from it. There are Houses of Parliament with the clock tower and Big Ben. So you get the view of really the most important sites of New York. It goes around quite slowly, so you have plenty of time to see everything you want to see. Of course, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the people with the fear of heights, because as you can see, it takes you pretty high up. The Tower of London. Well, the name suggests that it's a tower. I would say it's rather a keep. A keep, no to jest taka właściwie po polsku się na to mówi, no właśnie, taka wieża, forteca. Zapomniałem jakaś polska nazwa, no to jest dokładnie. So this is a very famous landmark in London with a very long history and tradition. It houses the crown jewels. What are crown jewels? Well, jewels, klejnoty, crown, korona, czyli klejnoty koronne. So the most important, the most characteristic jewels that symbolize the power of the royal family. Of course, we all know that nowadays the royal family really does not have any real political power, but still it has a great symbolic power. This place used to be a prison, which can be quite clearly seen by its architecture. and it also stands by the Thames River. It stands quite near to the Tower Bridge, which is quite understandable. It is open to visit. Inside you can see the famous wardens. What are wardens? Wardens are like, you know, the historical security guards in historical outfits. I think they are called the yeomen, and they also make up the great long-standing tradition of the Tower of London. All right, the next place is the Westminster Abbey. What's Abbey? Westminster, of course, is the name of the place. Abbey to jest opactwo, czyli rodzaj takiego kościoła powiązanego z klasztorem, przynajmniej w dawnych czasach. Westminster Abbey is a very important church in the British history, because this is the place where English kings and queens were crowned. They were also buried when they died. They also got married there. So all the most important ceremonies connected with the royal family took place there. That's why this place is so important and so famous for not only royal family, but also for the entire British nation. But it's actually a church, yes, an Anglican church. The next place is the National Gallery. This is a place which, well, as the name suggests, it houses famous works of art, especially paintings. What is great about this museum, which I had a pleasure to visit, is that at least when I was there, it was for free. I mean, entrance was for free. So you could see all those magnificent paintings actually for free. And what is really amazing is that you can enjoy, admire the paintings of the greatest masters of painting. And you know, you enter a room and you see on the walls pictures which are, you know, like worth 50 million pounds or 100 million pounds, or this is like, you know, so precious that it's like invaluable, that you cannot even put a price on it. So it's really worth seeing. If you have ever heard about some famous paintings, if you know some famous paintings, you will find a lot of them in there. There is a great square, the Trafalgar Square, in front of the National Gallery, with the column and statue of Lord Nelson, which is also a famous figure in the British history. Very famous, generally place meeting point. You know, two famous landmarks, one in front of the other. So the National Gallery is definitely worth seeing. And I have to warn you that you need a day, at least a day, to see everything in there. All right, the next place which personally I'm really fascinated with is Tate Modern. Well, if you take a first look at this picture, well, what you see is a factory. This, or at least so it seems. And you wouldn't be very far from the truth. This building is actually a post-industrial building. It used to be a power station, czyli elektrownia. Of course, it is a defunct or, you know, decommissioned power station, which means it no longer works. And this building, because of its quite interesting, you know, post-industrial or industrial architecture, has been turned into a gallery. It is a gallery of contemporary art. It is called Tate Modern Gallery, and it houses pieces or masterpieces of contemporary art, czyli sztuki współczesnej. You can, I believe, go to the top of this tower and get another view of London. As you can see, again, this place is also on the River Thames, so again, it's a great place to have a view, to take a view of the other side of the River of London. So yes, it has great interiors. Also great, exterior. I really like this building because it is so different, It doesn't really look like piece of historical architecture, but, well, it is. It is the industrial architecture or post-industrial architecture. The next place is also fascinating, is the Natural History Museum. In our previous lesson, I showed you the American Museum of Natural History, famous for the movie A Night at the Museum. This one is also a famous place with a beautiful architecture. This this picture shows you the interior, the main hall, the grand hall, which also at times, I remember when I was there, had a skeleton of a dinosaur standing there. I don't know if it is a permanent feature of this place, but it is a great place only for its, if only for its architecture. But of course, you can see a lot of interesting places there, elements of natural history. So also, artifacts of nature. There is a very interesting room which simulates the earthquake. It simulates what happens in a room inside a building when there is an earthquake. So it actually moves, so you can feel how the floor shakes, you feel the earthquake, you feel the tremors. So yeah, it is interactive for sure. Very nice place to see. Now, this is one of the most modern sites of or icons of London. It is this building, this skyscraper is called the Shard, and the very name suggests what it looks like, or it was called the Shard for a reason, because it looks like a shard. What's a shard? Shard po polsku możemy powiedzieć, że to jest właściwie odłamek szkła, ostry, taki wydłużony, z ostrymi brzegami. And this building, you have to admit that it looks like a shard. Yeah? So the name is very appropriate. It's quite iconic. I don't remember exactly when it was built, but quite recently. There is an interesting story connected with this building. I read somewhere that, because it's of course made of glass and steel, that the sunshine that was reflected from this building was so strong and reflected and focused in such a way that the reflection of the sunshine fell on some cars standing on the street below, and it actually melted the plastic parts of the car. So they had to make some modifications to the building because it was quite, producing quite a strong ray of light. Another famous building, quite modern building, a little bit older than the Shard, is the Gherkin. The Gherkin mniej więcej po polsku oznaczałby korniszon, czyli taki właśnie ogórek marynowany, and if you take a look at this, you will see that it really looks like one. So it is also a famous landmark of London, a modern landmark, standing in the so-called London City, which is the financial district of London, which is the also financial heart of Europe, or at least it was until quite recently. With the United Kingdom leaving the Union, I don't know what's going to happen there. The next place whose architecture, really takes my breath away is the Battersea Power Station. It is another industrial building, if you take a look at it, but it looks a little bit futuristic. Although it was built a long time ago. It used to be, as the very name clearly indicates, it used to be a power station. Now it is decommissioned. For many years it stood empty, disused, and it was falling into disrepair. However, quite recently it has been renovated and turned into a place, well, it's, just place to spend time, so probably a mixture of, leisure time activity. like, you know, places such as cafes, shops, some leisure centers. So just place to spend time for people. So really great architecture. Also, as you can see, by the Thames River, as many great London sites. So I definitely believe it is worth seeing. The Millennium Dome. This is an interesting, well, structure, because it's not really a building. This is a building that was built to commemorate the end of the second millennium and the beginning of the third millennium, so for the year 2000. And it also, as you can see, it stands by the River Thames. The building had a problem because for many years they didn't really know how to use this building. First, it was meant to be, you know, an exhibition center, but this was not very profitable. They generated a lot of debt. I'm not sure what it is now, but I think it is called now not the Millennium Dome, but the O2 Dome, I think. The name has been changed, and it is used for some, you know, leisure activity. The famous story connected with this building is that there was, during some jewelry exhibition, there was a famous raid. The robbers tried to steal the jewelry. Unfortunately, they fell into police trap. Well, fortunately, they fell into police trap and they were caught, but it was a very daring robbery. Yes, the place became famous for this. This is not actually, you know, as I said, a building made of brick and mortar. It is just a steel structure with some cover made of some, you know, fabric, something like this. St. Paul's Cathedral. St. Paul's Cathedral, czyli Katedra Świętego Pawła, a very important church in London with a huge dome roof, czyli z wielką kopułą, probably the biggest in London. So it is also the place to see in London. It was built after the Great Fire of London in 1666. All right, of course, my short presentation does not, pretend even to show all the sights of London. We have limited time. We are actually running out of time. I have tried to show you only the ones that I believe are the most popular, the most common, or the ones which really take my breath away. I'm pretty sure that London takes a little bit more than half an hour to talk about it and to see all the interesting places there. So hopefully this year, these holidays, you'll have an opportunity to go there and see all of these places and many others with your own eyes. Thank you very much, and I wish you an enjoyable and happy holidays. Goodbye.